Hi students, today we will be discussing and talking about college. This presentation is for students in the 9th and 10th and 11th grades. We'll go over SFUSD graduation requirements, college admissions requirements, and what to do every year to prepare yourself for college. So why even consider college at all? Well, did you know that a college graduate with a bachelor's degree earns almost $1.3 million more over their lifetime than a high school graduate? That's an incredible amount of money. They also have an increased choice of job opportunities, greater knowledge of the world around you, and if you go to college, you will undergo personal growth and broaden perspectives that will take you outside of the world you've known. So before we go deeper into learning more about college, we really should talk about the SFUSD graduation requirements along with the UC-CSU A to G requirements. The A to Gs are subject areas that you must take in order to apply to a UC-CSU and also graduate from SFUSD. A stands for social studies, and so the UCs and CSUs, in order to apply, require you to take 2 years of social studies. SFUSD requires 3 years, so obviously you're going to do 3 years. B is English, and you got to do 4 years of that. C is mathematics, and you've got to do 3 years for UC-CSUs, but 4 years is recommended, 3 years to graduate SFUSD. Remembering that it has to be Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 at a minimum. D, Science, is 2 years for UC-CSU, 3 years recommended, and 2 years for San Francisco Unified School District. 1 year has to be in a biological science, 1 year has to be in a physical science. E, language other than English. UCs and CSUs, 2 years, 3 years recommended. San Francisco Unified, 2 years. It has to be the same language for those 2 to 3 years. F, visual and performing arts, 1 year for the UCs and CSUs, 1 year for SFUSD from the same discipline. So you can't combine a visual art with a performing art, but you can combine 1 semester of music like piano and then another semester of music like orchestra. College prep electives, which is G. 1 year is required for the UCs and CSUs, and we'll talk about SFUSD after. Also to note, to apply to a UC and CSU, you have to earn A's, B's, and C's. D's are not accepted. Neither are F's. To get an SFUSD diploma, though, you can earn a D, though it is better to get an A, B, or C. An F is not credit bearing, so an F does not count as passing a course for a diploma. So again, a diploma, A, B, C, or D. UCs and CSUs, A's, B's, or C's. What else do you need for an SFUSD diploma? You also need 2 years of physical education, 1 semester of health ed, 1 semester of college and career, and 40 additional credits of electives. They can be college prep or not college prep. Doesn't matter. But that's just for the diploma. Total number of credits you need to graduate from SFUSD is 230 at the end of your 4 years. These are the type of colleges that are most frequently talked about. The community colleges, which are also called two-year colleges, and are those like CCSF, Skyline, CSM, and at the end of it, you can earn an associate's degree. You can also go through certification programs, vocational, technical education training programs, or you can also transfer to a 4-year university like the CSUs or the UCs or even private schools. And they're really good at preparing you for a career. The California State University system, also known as the CSUs, are 4-year colleges where you can get your bachelor's, master's, or doctorates or PhDs there in liberal arts and science with also professional education and career preparation. For the University of California, also known as the UCs, they are also a 4-year college system, bachelor's, master's, and PhD, but there's a focus on research and methodologies and training to go into graduate education. So they train you to go to college after college. Both the CSUs and the UC systems have a ton of majors to choose from, and there's also private independent colleges that offer a wide range of degrees and programs. Those might have different admissions requirements, so if you're interested in applying, it's good to look at their individual websites. A lot of times they will follow the A to G pattern that we just spoke about in the previous slide. So community colleges, they exist all over California. There's 110 of them. They admit all students who are 18 years old or have a high school diploma, and they are the most cost-effective way to go to college. The CSU system has 23 campuses up and down the state of California. To be eligible to apply, you have to have completed all the A to G requirements we talked about with a C or better, a minimum GPA of a 2.0, higher is preferred, calculated from the summer after your 9th grade through the summer after your 11th grade year. If you are minimally eligible and you apply, you'll be most likely admitted to the non-impacted campuses. Some local non-impacted campuses include SFSU, which is San Francisco State, and Cal State East Bay. Impacted campuses are much more selective and harder to get into because there are more students applying to them than they have seats for. Those campuses include ones like San Jose State, CSU Long Beach, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, just to name a few. Admissions to a CSU is based on grades, GPA primarily, but some CSUs also look at supplemental factors like whether you were in an educational program like AVID, how many hours you worked per week, and how many hours you've committed to extracurricular activities. The University of California has 10 campuses, of which 9 of them are open to freshmen. UCSF only takes students who have a bachelor's degree and want to go into medicine, so let's not talk about that right now. The minimum GPA is a 3.0 weighted GPA, calculated based on the summer after your 9th grade year through the summer after your 11th grade year. Though admittedly, I've never had a student who had a 3.0 GPA that got into a UC, so it's pretty competitive. Though your 9th grade grades do not count towards the calculated GPA, you still must pass all your A to Gs with a C or better. That includes 9th grade. Colleges will end up seeing all your grades, including 9th grade year. So please, please, please do well in all of your years of high school. There is a myth that 9th grade doesn't count. That is totally a myth, totally not true. Students are admitted to the UCs based on the courses they take, the challenge level of the courses, so that means honors and APs, to challenge yourselves, your UC-CSU GPA, your extracurricular activities, and your personal insight questions, also known as college essays. There are almost 1,800, actually maybe even more, private and independent colleges in the nation. It's good to keep that in mind because out of those 1,800 private and independent colleges, only 115 of them admit less than half the students that apply. These are the ones that are known to be most selective, like Stanford, Columbia, NYU, Brown, Yale. So you know just a few of these private universities by name. There are thousands of colleges that are lesser known, that are private, great, and will most likely admit you. Studies have shown that it doesn't matter which college you go to, but more important are the work and life experiences that you have during your time in college, which dictate career success outcomes and overall college satisfaction. Admission requirements for private and independent colleges will vary, but most of them are similar to the A to G courses. You'll be looking at your essays, activities, interviews, some of them, and letters of recommendation. The common application is the application used by the majority of them to apply, and so you'd only have to apply on one application to apply to many schools. If you love a particular school, consider applying to their admissions through early action or early decision. You can usually only apply to one private school during this early period in the fall, usually right when we get back to school. And some applications are binding, which means you're contractually obligated to go to them if you get in. So make sure you do your research, but also know that the chances of you getting into that school if you apply earlier are better than if you wait until the normal application filing deadline, which is usually December. There are thousands of universities in the US, which also include public out-of-state systems like the SUNY system, which stands for State University of New York, and the Colorado State systems. They're kind of like California's equivalent to the UCs and CSUs. There's also a program called WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, that because you're a Californian, you can attend college in some of our Western neighboring states, but pay the lower in-state tuition cost instead of a crazy out-of-state high tuition price. So if you're looking to go to college in Hawaii, Oregon, Nevada, Washington, or Colorado, definitely check out WUI. As a reminder for testing, the UCs and CSUs are test blind for the Fall 21 and Fall 22 applicants. Test blind means they are not going to look at an SAT or an ACT test score for application purposes. There is talk about finding another test to require those in the class of 2025 to take instead of the ACT-SAT. The SAT subject tests have been discontinued completely. Let's say you did take the SAT or ACT. Well, you can submit them to private colleges for admissions considerations, and you can submit them to the UCs or CSUs, who will use them only if you get in to help them determine which college courses you can take in math and English. If you don't take the SATs or ACTs, there are other ways that the UCs and CSUs will determine your courses, so you don't need to worry about it if you haven't taken it. Fairtest.org is a great website that you can check out to see which colleges still require testing for application purposes outside of the UCs and CSUs, which we know don't. There are many different paths to higher education. This is the great thing about the United States, is that you can go to high school, and from high school you can go directly into a private college, a CSU or a UC, or you can choose to go to a community college, or you can go into certificate programs or trade schools. At a community college, you don't have to stop there. There you can go into certificate programs again, trade schools. You can also transfer to private colleges and CSUs and UCs. So there are many paths to take in pursuit of higher education. Eligibility versus selectivity. So being eligible means a student meets the minimum admissions requirements for a school or college. But meeting minimum eligibility doesn't mean that a student will be accepted to the college of their choice. Selectivity is when students apply to highly selective colleges or highly competitive majors, the college can hold them to a higher standard for admissions. In other words, it's harder to get in. When a lot of students apply for limited spaces, high selectivity happens. So remember that there are thousands of universities and only 115 of them are selective. So that means there are thousands that are not selective, which means they offer great programs and opportunities for you to research. So don't pin your hopes on a selective university. Apply widely, and we'll talk about what that means. So how are applicants evaluated? For the UCs, they go through a comprehensive review looking at grades, courses, honors, AP courses, quality of senior year courses, and how much have you taken advantage of the learning opportunities that your school has given you. They also look at improvement trends, special talents, awards, achievements, projects you've done, and accomplishments in the context of adversity or special circumstances that you've gone through. The CSUs will pretty much base their acceptance of you on GPA and supplemental factors, which we talked about earlier. Campus impaction plays a huge role into whether or not you gain admissions into a campus. So how selective are they? How impacted are they? Impaction, again, means they have less seats and more applicants than they can seat. Major impaction also has a huge bearing on selectivity. Major impaction is like campus impaction, except it's within the major. So there are particular majors that are very popular at particular CSUs. So you really want to do your research on which of those majors are impacted, because knowing that if you apply under that major, it's going to be harder to get into that particular CSU. And then there's this thing called local serving campus. Every city or town has a local serving campus that is nearby to them, which will give priority to those that are in their zip code areas. So our local serving campus for San Francisco students is actually Cal State East Bay. So that means you get priority to go to Cal State East Bay compared to a student coming from, let's say, LA. The reason why San Francisco State we are not in their local serving campus is because San Francisco State actually is accepting currently all students who are eligible. So they don't need to give priority because they're pretty much, as long as you're eligible, you'll get into San Francisco State as of now. Private colleges go through a holistic review, meaning they look at pretty much everything. You should definitely check each college campus's website admissions page to find out more. I've also linked videos and links in this slide deck to watch on how you are evaluated when you apply to these systems. So what can you do to be more competitive for college? Number one, earn the best academic GPA in all of your A to G college prep courses. Always do your personal best. Number two, what better way to demonstrate your ability to be a college student than to take university-approved honors, AP courses, and dual enrollment city college courses? That really, when you take community college courses, that really proves to the college that you can be a successful college student. Number three, take as many academic college prep courses beyond the minimum requirement. So remember that slide we talked about A to G requirements and how many years of each subject you needed to take? I told you the required number of years, and I also told you the recommended number of years. You really want to pay attention to doing as many recommended as you can because you want to go above the minimum stuff. Number four, get involved, get involved, get involved. Find your passions, lean into whatever that passion is, if it's a talent or an achievement or a performance or athletics or community service or leadership, whatever it is, lean into it and do it to the best of your ability. And then number five is kind of a funny one, but you should practice writing about yourself because the personal insight questions and the common application will have all of these questions that are asking you about yourself. And so it's really good to start practicing that process and even looking at those essay questions and drafting them before your senior year to practice addressing and answering those questions. All right, let's talk about making a college list. So there are many ways you can approach thinking about how you're going to apply to college. It's good to start with a list that contains these categories of schools: dream schools, possible schools, and likely schools. Dream schools are where you would attend if admissions and cost weren't an issue at all, and you're just like, I'm going to take a stab at this and just try. Those are dream schools. Possible schools are where your GPA and your class rank fell well within the school's average range for the most recently accepted class. So you can research the GPA range of who a college accepted for the fall prior to the fall that you're applying for. And you'll see the GPA range, and if your GPA falls in that range, great, that's a possible one. Likely is where your GPA and your class rank exceed the school's range for the average first-year student. So when you look up a college's when you look up a college's applicant pool and who they admitted and what their GPAs were, and you fall way above that, then that is a very likely school that you will get into. Sorry, we put class rank on here, but keep in mind that not all schools do class rank, and that's totally okay. You can just ignore the class rank then if that's you. Questions to ask yourself when choosing a college: you've got to think about your goals, your interests. What are your long-term and short-term goals? What type of campus size are you comfortable with? Large, medium, small? What kind of student population do you want to experience? Do you have ethnicity preferences, gender preferences, religious preferences? Location's important. So do you like being in a city like San Francisco, or are you wanting to go into like suburbs or like a small town, rural area to get away from a city? What sort of campus activities do you want to experience? Do you care what kind of division they are in terms of sport teams? What kind of clubs and activities they offer? Is the college into sororities and fraternities? Do you care about sororities and fraternities? And then also thinking about personal support. So you're going to need help from adults at the college. So you want to do research on what the student health center is like. Do they offer psychological counseling if that's something you need or want, sort of like wellness at the high school level? What kind of academic support do they offer? Do they offer tutoring? Do they have special programs like EOPS or EOP? And then what kinds of opportunities, other ones, do you want from a college? Do you want an honors program to challenge you academically? Do you want internships? Like, what does their career center look like? Do you want to conduct undergraduate research? For example, UC Merced is fantastic if you want to do that. Do you want to study abroad? These are all questions to ask when you want to think about opportunities from colleges. And then how to start your college research and how to continue your college research. Social media is super big. You can go on Facebook, on Twitter. YouTube is going to be a great one because you can attend free seminars taught by university professors. Like I linked Reed's, UC Santa Barbara has a bunch that you can like actually watch college professors teach and get a feel for the campus community. A lot of campuses will have a day in the life of, and they'll highlight a student, and you can walk around the dorms with them or see what their day looks like at the college campus. So really, really use YouTube and Instagram and all of that for a lot of research. You can also do comparison research. So you can go to californiacolleges.edu, Big Future, College Scorecard, HBCU websites, and Hispanic serving institutions, and be able to compare, one college against the other to see how they compare and contrast to each other. You can also make virtual college visits through uvisit.com, attending college fairs, going to college websites, and you can just search within their website for virtual tour, and you'll see a ton of new virtual college tours that have popped up this year because of the pandemic, which necessitated that. So it's just a great resource to engage in. And also, colleges are starting to open back up. So you can definitely think about if you can make an in-person college visit when it's safe, maybe with your family or with an older sibling or an older friend. Just go to the college website and search visit or tours to figure out if they've opened up for in-person visits. Here's a ninth grade checklist of good practices to do during your ninth grade fall, spring, and summer semesters. I'm just going to talk about a few, but you can pause it right now if you want to read all of them. But really making sure that you're meeting with your counselor, you're doing fun things and engaging in activities at the school and finding things you like, reaching out to your teachers or counselors if you're struggling or not understanding something. This is also a time for you to start thinking about what you're interested in. And so there are many, they call them interest profilers. They're just little online assessments that you can take to explore your interests and start thinking about careers, and also having a productive summer. So start in the spring semester of your ninth grade year, start thinking about what summer things you want to do, including summer programs, internships, volunteering, jobs, summer schools, a whole bunch of things you can do to have a productive summer. And in 10th grade, it's important to review your four-year graduation plan and again, meet with your counselor to make sure you're on track. Start exploring colleges using online resources, attending college fairs, and start building that college list we talked about. Now's the time to really figure out what you love to do. Stick with the things you like to do. Just you drop activities you don't love as much. It is important to realize that colleges want to see several years of commitment to things. So if you do one thing well as opposed to a whole bunch of little things scattered all over the place. 10th grade spring semester, again, make sure you're on track with your classes. Consider taking APs or honors courses in classes that you're doing well in, and apply for college readiness programs in the community. Maybe get some help from some college advisors. Participate in the summertime, participate in programs, internships, volunteering, or take summer school, and think about taking early college at City College of San Francisco. For 11th grade, the fall semester, making sure you're on track, really researching those colleges and creating that solid college list. Start thinking of counselors and teachers who know you well and build those relationships with you and can write you good letters of recommendation. Start touring colleges as part of your research process, attending college fairs. 11th grade spring semester, start drafting your college essays, especially those UC personal insight questions. It's going to take some time to get through them, and you want at least a couple of adults to look at it for you and help you do some editing. So start that process early and really hone in on, if you wanted to apply to private colleges, really hone in on one particular private college and consider applying to their early decision deadline and researching that. It's also a good time to calculate your UC CSU GPA. UC and the CSU websites both have calculators that can help you with that process. In the 11th grade summertime, really complete your college research. At this point, it should be done and finalize your college list. It's also a good time to start exploring scholarships that you may qualify for. You can also start thinking about whether or not the community college is a pathway for you, and thinking about transferring to a four-year university if that's more cost efficient for your family. Keep working on your college essays, and of course, have a productive summer. 12th grade is definitely go time. You're meeting with college counselor, your school counselor, making sure you're on track with graduation, all your A to Gs. You're going to get at least 2 adults to help you with your college essays and edit it. Keep yourself organized because there's going to be a ton of deadlines, so make notes on it. You're going to be opening a lot of accounts with usernames and passwords and portals. So keep a spreadsheet of all of these things and items and deadlines in one place that you can look to. In October, fill out your financial aid application. So that could be the FAFSA or that could be the California Dream Act, and do that early because financial aid is first come, first serve. Thinking about applying for scholarships as well. In the wintertime, after you've submitted your financial aid application, you should receive a student aid report from the FAFSA or the California Dream Act and make any corrections to submit that. Open up a web grants account to manage your Cal Grant, being sure to include at least one California college on the list, including a community college if you're potentially going there. You should be checking your college portals for deadlines and messages and documents, and checking your email because that is the way that colleges communicate with you. And if you miss deadlines, it really could jeopardize your college admissions, and we wouldn't want that. And of course, continue to apply for scholarships. In the spring semester as well, you must earn A's, B's, and C's. A D or an F will jeopardize your college admissions acceptances, and F will jeopardize your graduation. So stay in the A, B, C range. A's and B's are always better. March 2nd is the priority deadline for the submission of financial aid applications. So this is super important for those of you who end up going to a four-year university. You must complete and submit your financial aid applications by the March 2nd priority deadline. Ideally, again, it should be in the month of October or in the fall semester. But March 2nd is kind of the last date for students who are bound for four-year universities. Students who are going to a community college, you can submit your financial aid applications after March 2nd. But again, it never hurts to apply early and to get it in before that March 2nd deadline. priority deadline, sorry. Continue to check your college portals, compare your financial aid offers from colleges. After you get accepted to a college in about 2 or 3 weeks, or even before then, you should receive a financial aid offer. And it's important that you have that on hand so you can make an educated decision with your family on which college to accept based on which college fits your financial situation best. If you've received offers that don't meet your need and you need more financial aid, it doesn't hurt to reach out to financial aid offices to negotiate offers. You're going to need to provide documents that show that your financial situation has changed since you filled out your FAFSA or since you submitted the taxes that you submitted on your FAFSA. So just remember that that's going to it'll be a process, but it might be worth it in the end to negotiate those offers. On May 1st, you will commit to one college, and you should also submit housing deposits if you plan to live on campus. You should accept or reduce or decline your financial aid offer, and you should definitely sign up for your college's orientation. Also, as a resource, visit the Counseling and Post-Secondary Success website for more information. It's sfusd.edu/CPSS. And in there is a page for students and families. It talks about graduating high school. It talks about life after high school. It talks about financial aid and scholarships, a whole bunch of things that are important for you to know while you are attending high school and planning on your post-secondary options. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.